Okay, we're going to go over to Tina in Ohio. So we're leaving Michigan, heading to Ohio. Hi, Tina. How are you today?
Hi, I'm well. How are you?
Rocking and bobbing. How may I help you, my friend?
Well, my question is sort of around the same thing that she ended hers with, but just a quick recap. My husband's father passed away almost a year ago. Within 3 months after I found out he was having an emotional affair with somebody he knew and dated in high school, he has vacillated back and forth since I found out. And we've let me go back. He moved out January. He went to live with his brother. Said he needed some space. His head was spinning. He has continued to stay in touch with me. We have kids. I've been using Smart Contact even before I knew what Smart Contact was. After an initial period of doing, the wrong things like we all do. And we have been intimate on and off throughout this whole process because I was under the impression that it was only an emotional affair, and that since then I found he has gone to visit her a couple of times, so I'm assuming it's gotten physical. I'm assuming because I don't ask, since we are separated. I don't ask, but it still hurts my heart. And a couple weeks ago, he called me and said, "Can we talk?" And he said, "I'm so sorry for everything. I'm so sorry for her, for pictures, yada, yada." He came to the house. We talked through everything. I said, "I just want you to be happy. And if that's with her, I'm sorry that that's the way you feel. I wish it was with me." And he said, "It's definitely not with her. But I feel like that's in my heart that he's gone to visit her again." And so I feel like I need to tell him that I can't be intimate with him anymore until he ends things, but yet we're not living together. And I'm afraid it's going to push him away because he is starting to move closer to me. And I'm just really at a loss as to how to move forward from here, to continue the forward momentum that seems like we're having, but without putting myself in a position where I feel like he's just going back and forth and back and forth. And I know he's in a bad place. I know the grief is just eating him up. He says his head is spinning every single day. So I'm trying to be a support, that safe place.
Good.
But
That's a
I'm
good
not
thing.
sure where to go moving forward.
Okay. Tina, what I'm hearing you saying, you tell me if I'm hearing you correctly or not, okay? You suspect, as a matter of fact, you strongly suspect that he has been having sexual relationships with this woman, but you don't know that that's actually occurring. You suspect that even though he's making love to you, that because his head's spinning, because he's confused, you're suspecting that he's going back and having sex with her in between, but you have no evidence of that. That's what your emotions are telling you, but you don't necessarily know that to be true. Did I hear that correctly?
Well, I do know that he has been going to visit her. She lives in Virginia. She has family in Tennessee. I know he's been to both places a couple of times. She posted some pictures on Facebook to show that he was down there. I think she's, trying to push that in my face, which I'm not.
She may well be. Sometimes people do that.
And he apologized for those. He apologized for those pictures. He says, "I'm so sorry about the pictures." And she texted my brother. She's not a good person, and I know that. And I'm trying to be patient because I feel like this is really something he is going to come out of. But at this point, I don't know if I should continue to be intimate with him. He is pushing the envelope on the intimacy, too. He's starting to talk about threesomes, and he gets into this weird place in his mind where he's starting to push the envelope on other things, too.
Okay, so he's suggesting to you that he wants you to be involved in a threesome? Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, in a way. He wants it really to be watch me with someone else. We went and had some dinner the other day. He was talking about how he was thinking about, smoking pot. That's always been something he's been against. I just don't think his head is in a good place.
No, it's not. That's obviously not. When a person gets into a situation like this and they cross boundaries, now, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's had intercourse with her, although it may. Crossing a boundary can just be getting emotionally involved with somebody other than the person that you're married to. But when people cross boundaries, there's kind of an unusual thing that occurs with many of them. Well, unusual is not even the right word. There's something that often happens with many of them that you wouldn't expect or anticipate, and that's this. If I've crossed a boundary, that's a big one. like I've become emotionally connected and involved with a person other than my wife. That's crossing a major boundary. It's not unusual then to cross a whole lot of other boundaries. And so it's like now that I've done something that in my moral sense is wrong, then a lot of those things just fall like dominoes. And the idea of, wow, I want to make love to you, but wouldn't it be interesting if there was another person involved, a threesome, those kinds of things. That doesn't always happen, but it's not unusual when it does happen. And it is because of the confusion that he's going through. Now, I think that you've actually got a pretty good view of this. He is confused. There's no doubt about it. This woman has some kind of pull on him, and yet at the same time, he's told you, I don't want to be with her forever. I wouldn't doubt that being true. Understand that when a person's confused and moving around like that in their mind, their head, that when they say something that sounds completely contradictory to what they just said the day before or even the hour before, and you'll think, you can't think both those things, you can't feel both those things. In actuality, they can. What happens is they don't think them both at the same time. Okay? It's called compartmentalized thinking. And so saying to you, no, I don't want to be with her, I'm sure there's a part of him that's very strongly believing that. I don't. Is there another part of him that for some reason, whatever it is that pull with her is, that's pulling him out there, at least on some occasion? Well, apparently that does exist, since you know that he's been to see her. Now, when he comes back, here's a couple of things I would suggest you think about as you make your decision as to whether you want to make love with him or not. First of all, I would strongly suggest, now it's up to you, and I'm not trying to tell you what your beliefs and values should be. I know what mine are. I'm not trying to tell you what yours are. But if a threesome is not within your belief and value system, in other words, if that's something that you would like, that's against everything that I stand for. I'm about commitment and love and loyalty and those kinds of things, and that's just about sex, and I'm not going to do that, then don't even listen to it. Just look at him and say, I understand that your mind's going a lot of places right now, but that's not something that I will consider. And you don't be mean, you don't be harsh, you don't scream at him, you don't judge him like, what's the matter with you? Have you become a pervert? You don't do any of those things. But you very calmly let him know, no, we're not going to discuss that. So that in his mind, that confusion doesn't begin to include the possibility that you might be doing some other things. And so you let it be known you're going to stay with your beliefs and values, whatever they are. And that's the first thing. The second thing is that in this situation, if you're deciding whether or not to make love to him, here are the pros and cons. Now, I'm going to recommend the same thing to you I did to Janina just a moment ago. If you go to youtube.com/Marriage Helper, all one long word, Marriage Helper, and subscribe, then you can see all the videos we have in there. And Jesse, how many are in there now? Probably
we have over 200.
Over 200 videos in there on various subjects. And the one of them I'd ask for you to look at is, should I make love with my spouse while separated? Because it's going to give a lot more detail than this very brief one I'm going to give right now. And that's this. If indeed he's wanting to make love to you, and if it's not just sex, in other words, when you're making love with him, on those occasions when you do that, if you can feel there really is a connection more than just your bodies, that your minds, your hearts, your souls are connecting in any way, then this can be a strong pull pulling him back to the marriage. Now, I certainly understand you're going, but wait a minute, I don't want to feel like I'm just one of two people or whatever. I don't want to feel like it's her and me and he can have whoever he wants at the same. I know that. I understand that. I admire your thinking like that. But if, since you don't have proof that he's actually having sex with her, obviously a strong emotional connection based on what you've described, then you might contemplate, okay, rather than speculating about what he's doing, if I can connect to him, meaning you connect to your husband, if I can connect to him emotionally and all those things, and he's connecting to me, then this process of making love to him, he's not just using me as another body, he's actually connecting emotionally to me. And sex is one way that's very powerful to do that. And it could be part of what pulls him back. But, if you do it thinking it's going to be the magic formula, that if I do this, he'll come running back, everything's going to be wonderful just because I do that, then that's not the way to look at it. Am I making any sense with this whatsoever?
You are, and I feel like a lot of times lately, in the beginning when he was vacillating, I felt like we were more connecting intimately, making love, but now I do feel like where his head's been, that although he sits and talks to me and lays with me and touches me, the sex part is more about sex to him.
It could be, but the fact that he's talking to you, that he's lying with you, that he's touching you, those are pretty strong indications of intimacy. I mean, not just sexual intimacy, but emotional intimacy. Nobody can give you the absolute decision on this. Obviously, Tina, you have to decide for yourself. But I certainly recommend go look at that video. It's a lot longer. It's about 7 or 8 minutes long, and therefore you can get more information from it than I'm giving you now. And
Okay.
I just hope you have the wisdom to make the decision that you feel best about. Remember, there's no magic one here, okay? It's going to be figuring out what you think is best and hoping that it works, okay?
Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.